Hi, this is Political News in 5, and today is March 5th, 2023. And I'm starting with an overview of the results from the February 25th presidential and National Assembly elections. Congratulations to Labour Party. They've gone from a party with no structures, with 4 people tweeting in a room, to being the most formidable third force party since 1999. They've also gone from a party with 0 members in the National Assembly to 40 and counting. They have 6 senators and 34 House of Representative members. Now, there's still 11 seats in the Senate that have not been accounted for in terms of results. APC is likely to maintain a lead regardless of where those 11 seats go. And that makes PDP this main opposition party and Labour as the third. Now, of course, the presidential elections are controversial, and the story there is far from over. I see the results of the presidential election as a referendum on APC and the old guard. Nigerians want reforms. Now, APC got far fewer votes in 2023 than they did in 2015 and 2019. In fact, the votes that Tinubu got in 2023 are even less than what Jonathan, at the height of his unpopularity at that time, got in 2015, because he got 12 plus million votes. Now, this is the problem with first past the post, because when you take all the votes that Labour, NMPP, PDP, and the other parties got, they got 15.2 million to Tinubu's 8.7 million, so almost double what he got, but he's the winner. Now, first past the post has this unfair quality to it, where you can be the minority in terms of the number of people who voted. You would be the minority, but you'd still win. And this is something that the Uwais Electoral Reform Committee looked at post 2007 and recommended that we drop first past the post and move to proportional representation as something that's more fair for such a diverse country. Let's hope that will still happen. Now, the case is going to court. Many are worried about the role that the judiciary has been playing, especially around elections. But let's maintain hope. We always have to use the system to force the system to work the way it's supposed to. So let's see what happens in court. Now, it brings me to the quality. The second thing, which is the quality of our elections, has been deteriorating steadily since 2015. I see 2023 as just a little worse than 2019. 2019 was already mind-blowing in terms of how much we degenerated in terms of the quality of the process, and you can see that we had the same chairman and the same leadership. So it's not surprising that 2023, regardless of the Electoral Act, BVAS, IREV, and all those things, and it's really unfair for those who say things like, oh, there was rigging all around, but it's not substantial. We've been hearing that phrase from the experts, I'm sure maybe since 1959. If you go and look at the reviews and analysis, we'll find that phrase, and because we're people who really like to just sort of stay in the same lane and maintain status quo, so we keep hearing that the rigging would not. But what if it would have? And another thing people are saying is that, oh, it's because opposition was splintered that's why APC could scrape through a win. I don't buy that. Maybe there is enough dissatisfaction in the land to make sure that APC would still not have won, even with the splintered opposition, because maybe it was the fact that we had opposition in Labour, in NMPP, that gave people the hope that they want something different from APC and PDP. So without the data, it's unfortunate that we keep hearing this line about rigging not substantially changing the results. Let's hope that, speaking of rigging, March 11th will go very differently from the way February 25th went, but I'm not holding my breath. 2 things will determine. The first is voter turnout, which historically is always lower for the gubernatorial and state House of Assembly elections, and we already had really shockingly low turnout for the presidential elections at about 27%, if you want to be generous. Now, the second thing that we can expect from the state House of Assembly and gubernatorial elections is, once the results have been announced for the presidential, it makes the places where the different parties are dig down. So PDP will want to be desperate to hold on to its states, not wanting to look at, not being in politics or political power. Same thing with APC, they'll want to dig down. So we can expect very violent elections, especially in Lagos, Rivers, and Kano. Now, unfortunately, we'll have that violence, and people will be pointing fingers, the media, observers, at the politicians with their nonsense peace accord signings, which are meaningless. But the truth is, we should also be looking at INEC and saying, what's your responsibility as the election management body? Why do you give results? Why do you give certificates of return when obviously elections didn't happen in those particular places? Rivers, there was no elections for gubernatorial in 2019, but a winner was announced. It's very likely that there were barely any elections in February 25th last week, and still results were announced by INEC. So once this election is over, we're going to have a real full debrief of the role of civil society, INEC and other stakeholders and politicians and the National Peace Committee. But I'm going to end this with a note saying, you know what? My pet peeve about one of our elections, something we need to reform, splitting elections into two parts. Let's hold elections all on one day. Nobody should deliver anybody. Everybody should deliver themselves. We'll begin to see more clipping of the powers of the governors. I think that's it. But let's hope March 11th brings another type of precedent where we see a higher voter turnout for the gubernatorial and state house of assembly, as people realize that those elections are as critical and fundamental to the reforms and improvement in governance that we need in Nigeria going forward. That's it on Political News in 5. Have a great week ahead. Stay safe. Bye.